Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Smooth Traffic. We're still here.
Sorry. Well, stop subscribing if you don't like it. Come on. It's not our fault.
Oh, don't say that. So, in this exceptional episode, which is a little Johnny Light, shall we say, we'll be talking about the Smooth Traffic project car, if any of you can remember that, the Unos Roadster. There's a little bit about what's happened to Johnny. Where is he? Why isn't he here? We'll be talking about a big SUV from China, which is stupidly expensive. We've had a fax from the Smooth Traffic fax machine, and there'll also be a bit of chatter about Gran Turismo Sport. Well, you may have noticed that John isn't here, and you're probably wondering why John isn't here. And the truth of the matter is...
we just didn't tell him we were recording.
Sort of. We also don't really know. John has gone north. We think it may be because he's trying to get as far away from Cornwall as possible. But there are also suggestions that he's suffering from a bad colonoscopy. It's quite fun when he's not here because we can just say what we want.
Yeah, but that is definitely true. It's
definitely true.
Yeah, so no Johnny. So this episode will be slightly different. But going forward, we're going to be slightly different as well. So we decided that as we don't have Johnny again to argue, we're going to look at rebranding the podcast very slightly. And that's largely because of feedback from people that are listening to the podcast. So we've had quite a lot of comments and interaction from people on our more sort of general nonsense stuff over and above some of the car-related content. There are some really great podcasts out there that are purely focused on cars, so we kind of feel like we'll leave them to do what they're good at, and we'll diversify slightly. So going forward, we're probably going to be adding in a little bit of extra random content, as you will have heard creeping in over the past few weeks. Hopefully people will enjoy it. And
it's certainly not because we struggle to come up with things for car-related segments every episode, because that would be terrible for an automotive-based podcast. But, I mean, we'll probably still retain at least a segment per episode that is car-related.
Absolutely, yeah.
But of our 4 or 5 listeners, at least 2 of them have passed on more compliments regarding the non-automotive segments that we do, such as the unsurpassed Dictionary Corner, which has become a smash hit overnight.
The biggest problem with that is that you've run out of words to use, haven't you? So, so send in your suggestions.
Yeah, please do, because you'd think, it's called Dictionary Corner. There are a lot of words in the dictionary, but I don't want to look them up myself. So, you send us your suggestions, and after we're offended by the fact that we think you're just calling us names, we'll then cover them in Dictionary Corner. Yeah,
so the content will be slightly different. We may well change the logo and taglines and things like that, all the little nitty-gritty things, but...
we'll still be Smooth Traffic.
Yes, and I was going to say there'll still be the 3 of us. There will be a third when Johnny returns.
I thought you meant we were replacing him.
I mean, we could do with, like, a chair or something. Something equally as entertaining. Yeah, he'll be back next time.
But yeah, so it might be a slightly different Smooth Traffic next time. And obviously this episode, because John's not here. Although, if you listen carefully, he might pop up later.
Yeah, that's very true. Definitely haven't got some pre-recorded segments we're going to throw at you instead.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, so although he's not here, there's probably a good wedge of car-related stuff in this episode. Isn't there?
Yes, there will be. As you might remember from one of our early episodes, and I can't be bothered to go back and check which one.
I'll check.
Oh, of course you will. Johnny bought a Unos Roadster, Mark 1 MX-5 basically, British Racing Green, Nardi steering wheel, lovely little car, but it needed a bit of work. So internally, we've had quite a bit of a few changes have been made. So the steering wheel was absolutely battered, the varnish peeling off and everything else. That has been tidied up, and it's much better now. The carpets have been replaced. We've given a bit of a clean generally. It's had a bit of a polish, so it looks quite nice now. It's in a good state of repairs. But unfortunately, it didn't pass its latest MOT.
No, it did not.
How would you describe the failure, Kingy?
Catastrophic. No, I wouldn't call it catastrophic. I would call it pleasantly challenging for someone who might want a challenge of sorts.
It's not horrendous, is it? We've
No.
got some really simple stuff to repair. Like, you know, a lot of the faults were just daft things, like, you know, windscreen wiper blades were knackered, and, you know, that's easy peasy. But there were a couple of larger issues with one of the rear suspension springs was knackered and things like that. So I don't think they're particularly expensive parts. It just requires someone with a bit more skill than Johnny to have a look at it.
For that very reason, we've taken it away from John.
Yes.
And recently, when it snowed, because that's just perfect.
That's a smooth traffic timing, that is. We need to move a car. What better time to do it than when there's snow forecast?
Exactly. So I had the pleasure, nay the honour, of transporting the Unos from North Devon all the way up to the snowy climes of Berkshire. To do that, I rented a small car transporter, and frankly, it was delightful. It was one of the most pleasant days I've had in quite some time.
That's a lie, isn't it?
Well, it's bordering. It's bordering on a lie. First of all, just to go back to what Ben said at the start, episode 21, if you want to go back and find out more about the project car, which was October 2016. So a good wedge of time has passed since John acquired it, and since we've had some interior work done. But unfortunately, failed the MOT, so I got up at some ridiculous time in the morning on a Tuesday to collect a car transporter, and then, obviously having left Bath, because I wasn't conveniently in Devon at the time, drove down to North Devon, and then I had the fun of loading the car onto the transporter, which all I can say is thank God there was a winch on the back of it. But one of the MOT fails was that one of the rear brakes has seized slightly, to the point where you can't really push the car because the brake's seized. So yeah, the winch came in very handy. Being a natural van driver and general jack of all trades, if you will, I leapt at the chance to get that car on the back of the transporter. Put some gloves on and everything so I didn't tear my hands apart. The car was in, obviously, to look at from the exterior, looks lovely. The interior, exquisite with the new carpet and the work that Ben had put into restoring the steering wheel. But yeah, it didn't move. So, winched it up onto the back of the transporter and then had the fun of obviously securing it in place with straps. That obviously I'd never used straps before, so I didn't really know how they worked.
How long did that take you?
Well, after having spoken to someone at the garage where it had been MOT'd, who explained how the straps should be affixed onto the transporter itself, and then proceeded to walk off and leave me to it, I probably spent about 10 to 15 minutes trying to get one on, at which point it dawned on me, why have I not just gone onto YouTube and watched a video? So then 30 seconds later, I knew exactly what I was doing. And once I'd watched the video, the car was fully locked in after about 5 minutes. And away I went. And generally, it was quite pleasant until the snow came.
It was a terrible decision to come up on that day. That's basically the only time we could do it, isn't it? So
yeah, that was the date that the lorry was available. So yeah, I got up to, took the M5, got up to just there outside of Bristol. And yeah, it was like the apocalypse was happening. But on the plus side, it meant that everyone else slowed down and got out of the outside lane, which meant that I was able to trundle along, still doing about 60 mile an hour, because, if you're not confident driving in that weather, get off the road, for goodness sake. And plus, I was driving a lorry, so there's a good bit of weight to that. Nothing could go wrong. So that was fine. Got past a small snowstorm, just around Avonmouth, and then hopped onto the M4, and probably just before I got to Reading, the worst snow I've ever seen on a UK road in my limited time of driving, which is 10, 12 years. It was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I had to slow down to about 40 mile an hour. It was that bad. Eventually managed to get up to Ben's, where the car would be transported onto the drive, and well, we had the fun of getting it off the transporter, didn't we, Ben?
yeah, so you got the straps off pretty quickly.
Because I knew what I was doing.
Because you know what you're doing. We managed to sort of roll it off the ramps onto the road pretty quickly. The temperature was dropping, plummeting, you might say, at this point. So we got a little bit of grip from the local grip bin, because there were a couple of tiny little ice patches on the sort of 20 metres, if that, to the drive from where it was. So we gritted a couple of bits, but in the sort of 10-15 minutes it took us to push it to the drive, it was icing up around us, so it started to get really slippy. So we ended up trying to grit as we pushed, which was ridiculous. And that C's brake was just horrific, wasn't it? So they were just screeching at us.
If you were wondering why it took 10 to 15 minutes to get it from the transporter to the drive.
I had to run and grab one of my neighbours. Can I borrow some muscle? Yeah, so there's like 4 of us pushing the car, sliding around on the ice. And we finally got it on the drive, didn't we? But crumbs, it was making a horrendous noise, wasn't it, that brake?
Yep.
I was tempted to just take a hammer to it and just smash it off, because we couldn't really leave it. The snow was coming in. Oh, what a nightmare. But it's on the drive now.
And then I had the absolute joy of spending a night at Ben's and then getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to return the transporter, because that had to be back by 8. And yeah, it had snowed overnight as well, hadn't it, Ben?
Quite a lot. There was a nice couple of inches of a nice carpet of snow, but it's easy to drive on a carpet of snow, isn't it?
It's easy to drive on a carpet of snow, but what surprised me was when I got out of your estate, I thought, the main roads will be clear. No. No. The main roads were like a thick shag pile of snow. To the point where I was one of only about 5 or 6 motorists on the road at the time.
I mean, it was because you were up at 12 o'clock in the morning, but at the same time, it still wasn't very good.
But, I mean, a couple of them were in 4x4s, and this is exactly the problem with the majority of people who drive 4x4s, and they were going so slowly because they had no idea what to do. You could see the panic in their speed. So when I'm trundling through shag pile of snow at 25 miles an hour, and that's literally blasting past these people because they are crawling, and I thought I was going fast until a Tesco lorry passed me doing 40. Now, admittedly, we were on a dual carriageway, so you think, well, it's not a problem with the speed. But it was a good wedge, probably 6 inches of snow or so. And even when I got onto the motorway, it was still quite bad for a couple of junctions.
Mm.
And then suddenly it was gone. It was like you live in a microclimate, Ben.
Well, sorry about that. But you got back in time, didn't you? So that was all good. Nobody died.
I didn't die, so...
The car is in one piece.
It is.
And it's had a bit of TLC since it's been on my drive, so we're tidying it up. So I suppose that brings us on to what we're going to do with it. So
burn it. Sorry, no. Sorry, that was the flashbacks to the snow that brought those terrible feelings out of me. I'm sorry, Ben.
So we're kind of thinking, do the work ourselves and get it through the MOT, or sell it as a project car for someone else to do. And we're kind of in and out of that, aren't we? Not really sure which to go for, depending on how you wake up in the morning. Yeah. Should we just do it ourselves? Should we get someone else to do it, or should we just take it apart and sell it for parts? And we could do we could make, comfortably make our money back and a bit of profit by selling the parts. But it kind of feels a bit like sacrilege to dismantle it, because it's in such nice condition internally. Inside the car is lovely. And the exterior is not in bad nick considering the age of the car.
No, I mean, there's a bit of surface rust underneath, as you'd kind of expect. And, when anything's been in John's possession for very long, it's always going to deteriorate somewhat. But, I think it's certainly in good enough condition if someone was keen to have a small project. Because, parts-wise, you're probably not looking at more than sort of £250 worth of parts for what was needed to get it through the MOT. And... yeah, I mean, as I say, the rust is all surface rust, so that just needs to sort of be taken off. It's obviously whether we're up to the challenge of physically fixing these things.
Someone capable, I'm sure, would be able to do it in no time at all. A lot of our listeners you see on Twitter talking about how they just quickly whipped out the radiator or something like that, and you just think, if either of us were mechanically minded, it probably would be quite a straightforward job, but we're not really. So, although we're handy, I've never really worked on cars other than very basic stuff. So
you've restored a steering wheel? Surely you're an expert now.
See, that's carpentry again. So we'll see. But if anyone does want a project car or wants to have a look at it or anything, then let us know, because we'll be sort of writing about it, and we'll probably chuck a YouTube video up in the end once we've done a bit more work on it over the next few weeks, and we'll see via our YouTube listing whether we've decided, sorry, not YouTube, eBay listing, whether we've decided to sell it as a project or as a complete work of art, But
a complete work of art.
Yeah.
Is that what
Ready
you
to
just
go.
said?
Yep.
Oh my goodness me.
It is a work of art. It's a lovely car.
Well, once again, the fax machine in the Smooth Traffic office has been going absolutely bananas.
Is it getting hot yet? Because fax machines always get strangely hot. Have you noticed that?
Do you mean you're attracted to them, John?
Are you sure they're getting hot?
I think I just want to back out of this now.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it the paper that comes out that's hot? Because we're going to have to explain to you how toner works.
Well, that thing ladies put on their face.
Do you want to crack on, King?
So, welcome back once again to another exciting segment of I'm a Fax Bastard.
Fax machines are the cockroaches of technology.
This time,
Nice.
one of our listeners has sent in a hypothetical question for us, which is...
Why did you
Would
just
you rather-
unfold a fax? Does it not come out flat?
I always fold bits of paper over when I put them down. It's
Christ.
just a habit.
Alright then. Right. I'm starting to think maybe we haven't got a fax machine now, that's all.
How dare you,
How dare
John?
you?
How dare you? Anyway,
Sorry, it's the drink.
would you rather have a tree in your back garden that constantly produces every fruit in the world at the best quality and in the best condition, or a trained dinosaur of your choice to use as transport and for shenanigans? Discuss. So do you want a tree that produces every type of fruit in the best possible condition, or a trained dinosaur that you can use for transportation and other fun?
General Larks.
General larks, if you will, yes.
That is a sensational question.
Isn't it just?
I want to kiss whoever made that question. If you made that question or fax it to us, please tweet us so I can give you a big kiss.
Cue nobody to reply to that. So, John, thoughts?
Well, I like transport, as you know.
You do.
I don't like public transport, I like personal transport. And what is better than a car at transporting you, possibly a Velociraptor?
So you're going for Velociraptor power, not horsepower?
I'm going lightweight, ferocious, vicious. You know, I want it to be able to rip a dog's head off.
Probably
for
quite
no
good
reason.
in the turns as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
You
If
sure
there's
you
a-
wouldn't want to go for something like a Diplodocus? And you could get very high with that and
Yeah, but
see the world.
what am I going to do up there, Ben?
Get things down from high shelves.
Yeah, think how useful it'd be in Tesco.
Rubbish. No, I want
Oh, you
something
have to park it
lightweight.
outside, Ben.
Oh,
You can't take your car into Tesco, so why should you be able to take your transportation dinosaur in?
Yeah, but you can just walk through the wall, King. What are they going to do? I've got a Diplodocus. What are you going to do? What's that, mate? What's that security guard? You want me to stop wrecking the store? What are you going to do, mate? Look how fucking huge this 50-ton dinosaur is. I'm going to squash you.
He's a herbivore, though.
He's still going to squash him, isn't he?
That's fine, but obviously if you've got one, it probably means that most other people have got one.
Oh, no. No. Nobody else has a dinosaur.
No, nobody else has dinosaur,
nobody
King.
did.
What are you on
Ben,
about?
you're not
It's not
listening to what I'm
Jurassic
saying.
Park.
If John's got a dinosaur, probably everyone else has got a dinosaur.
No!
If dinosaurs have become affordable enough for John to have one, everyone else has got one. Alright?
Who said I had to pay for it? It might have been gifted to me by a talented Natural History Museum person.
Maybe. So you're not even interested in the fruit?
No, because you can get fruit at the supermarket, and you can go to the supermarket in your dinosaur, or on your dinosaur, depending on your preference, and then collect your food from there. And better still, if you've got the type of dinosaur that I'm wanting, you know, one that's going to rip dogs' heads off for no reason just to annoy people, one that's just going to do horrible shits on the floor, and people are going to be really upset, one that's just going to eat so much meat, when it farts, it still smells the same as it went in, you know, if you're going to get a dinosaur that is a complete horrible like I'm going to get, then you don't have to worry about anything anymore. You can just rob banks, you can go to the supermarket and not have to pay for stuff, you can go to the petrol station and cause chaos for no reason, you can rip dogs' heads off, you can chew things. You know, it'd be great. Why would you want a tree with fruit on when you can have a vicious, smelly, horrible of a dinosaur to just cause mayhem everywhere? I'd love that. That'd be great.
I was going to say, you've got to think about the implications of a dinosaur, though. You know, you'd have to feed it and
No,
walk it.
Rob. I'm Robin, mate. I'm going Robin. Because I don't have to do anything anymore. Society's rules don't apply to me anymore because I've got a huge fuck-off dinosaur that can rip people's heads off. What? Nobody's going to stop me. I'll be straight in the butcher's counter at Morrison's. Yeah, 5 fillet steaks, please. 5 fillet steaks right now. What's that? You want Mr. Snappy to rip your arm off? Yeah, hand them
Mr.
over.
Snappy.
Don't you dare put a
I
price
think you
tag
should
on
be
those.
banned from having a dinosaur on the basis that you'll call
Yeah.
it Mr. Snappy.
That's not part of the question.
I
though.
mean, in fairness, the way that you're going, John, this is exactly the reason that the RSPCA stopped people from having certain animals, and I think
Yeah.
you definitely fit the bill.
why?
You'd
The
have some
animal
kind
would
of
love it.
injunction against you for against owning pets.
See, I'm starting to wonder whether they'd even have let him have a mermaid, as we discussed last week.
True.
Yeah, but I'm not being cruel to my pet.
But I can understand him ending up on a desert island by
I
himself.
could, yes. Probably put there after causing
Ridiculous.
mayhem with his dinosaur.
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion to you though, John?
No.
No. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to improve your lifestyle with the dinosaur.
Is it a feed bag with Swedish meatballs in?
It's not a feedback. No.
Is it a spiked mace on the end of the tail?
No, it's not. Like the ever popular Ankylosaurus. But no, I was actually going to suggest a slightly different dinosaur, just for the convenience of fitting into your character. Because obviously you've gone with the Velociraptor, which is an obvious choice. But wouldn't you rather have a Pachycephalosaurus? The one with the thick skull that goes around headbutting things?
Oh yeah, that would be quite appropriate.
Because I can imagine you, John, riding around on your headbutting dinosaur.
Not him!
Yeah. Alright, it's not going to tear dogs apart, but...
Yeah, I want to tear dogs apart, King. I just want to tear dogs apart. There's a few dogs that I've seen walking down the street and I don't like the look of them, King.
But let's go
Don't
back
like the look
to
of them at all.
let's go back to Ben's point about having a larger dinosaur, and obviously the fact that you said you could just bash through the walls of the supermarket. Velociraptor's
Yeah.
not going to do that for you.
No, but I can go in through the front door and rip the security guard's head off on the way through. Give me the donuts, you...
Yeah, but with the Packy, you could just
Sorry,
headbutt
King,
through
what?
the walls.
What?
Oh, fuck
King?
off! That's a perfectly acceptable term in this context.
King. Unbelievable. We're going to get banned. We're going to get banned, King. You're a monster.
Wasn't it Jurassic Park that used that abbreviation and people didn't like it?
Probably.
Must have been.
I don't
There
know
aren't many other dinosaur films
I'm
around.
trying to think of other dinosaur films that would have featured a dinosaur other than a T-Rex or a Velociraptor.
So, Kingy, what would you choose then? Because obviously Johnny just wants to kill everyone, which is a bit weird.
Not everyone. I wouldn't kill Leona Lewis.
That's a very specific choice there.
Yeah, okay.
Seems like a nice person.
Okay.
So the security guard might be a nice person, but you've just ripped his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been dressed as a security guard then, should he?
It's his job. He's
Maybe
not,
he should get
he's
another
not
job.
wearing a costume.
Maybe he should get another job. Maybe he should just be a baker, because I like bakers. They bake things. Security guards are just annoying. Oh, we're closing in 10 minutes. Yeah, I know. I'm only here for some donuts, you knob. It's not going to take me 10 minutes to get them, is it? Fucking
got some
job.
unresolved issues.
If you're turning up at supermarkets so late that they're closing in 10 minutes, yet you still want to get donuts, I think that's an issue all by itself, John.
You're not
They're
getting
not
the
going to
best
be
donuts,
fresh.
John. No.
If you'd got up earlier and got on your dinosaur and got down there, you'd have got some decent donuts.
That's true.
Take it from someone
true.
who eats a lot of donuts.
I'll yield to your knowledge on donuts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Anyway, what would I choose, Ben?
Yeah.
It's difficult because obviously the tree is quite an
He's
interesting
going to choose
proposition.
the dinosaur, Ben.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously going to pick the
He's
dinosaur.
obsessed with Jurassic Park.
But the
He's
tree-
going to choose the dinosaur.
It's the best film of all time. But the tree is an interesting proposition because obviously John's banging on about I can just get my fruit from the supermarket, but that
Yeah.
fruit could be bad. What you're getting from that tree is the pinnacle of each fruit every time you pick a fruit off of that tree. So
You'd make a fortune selling that.
true, and you could probably then spend the money engineering dinosaurs to then ride about.
You
So
could
maybe
actually
the tree's the
open
way to
Jurassic
go.
Park yourself because you'd have so much money from selling all the best fruit in the world.
It's
That's
one
a terrible
tree.
idea, Ben. That's a terrible idea. If you've not seen the films, look how badly it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Don't start a dinosaur theme park.
It's fine. Did you hear they're bringing out a Jurassic Park's themed game where you can build a Jurassic Park basically
Yes.
with dinosaurs?
Did that happen 30 years ago?
No, not a film.
No,
Game.
but didn't the game come out like 30 years ago as
Oh,
well on
did
PlayStation 1?
Yeah, they brought out a film with the Lost World, I think it was. So that would have been
Okay.
late 90s, which was like a park builder simulator.
Yes, I think this is what this is.
And then
basically.
they're doing a new one now to bring it up to date to the Jurassic
Ben.
World rather than Jurassic
Sweet.
Park.
Bit behind the times, aren't you there, Ben?
Perhaps
Things
so.
taking a little bit longer to reach China.
So yeah, so I'm on board with the tree idea. I reckon.
Oh, fuck
So,
off.
Make a load of money.
Why?
It's because he's a banker. That's why.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Investing for the future.
Yeah. So basically, I'd still pick the dinosaur. But yeah, the concept of the tree is interesting. I think if it had come up against anything else, there's a good chance I'd have picked the tree. And if the tree produced food that wasn't fruit.
Well, I did think about asking our listener who submitted the question to if I could amend it slightly and say steak or just generally snacks or a donut tree. I thought you'd be all over that.
Yeah,
But
see, that would have been a tough call. But dinosaur, I'm
Which
having to agree
which
with you.
dinosaur, though, King?
yeah, it's a good point.
Do you want to get another Velociraptor and we'll go around causing chaos like some kind of vicious tag team?
I mean,
They do hunt in packs, don't they?
I did think it would be quite entertaining if we all agree on dinosaur, that we all get the same dinosaur, and then we just run round because we'll be the only people with the dinosaurs, so it will be quite entertaining.
Oh, just imagine us just running around, ripping people's dogs apart, shitting on people's pavements for no reason.
Can we not rip dogs apart?
I don't know why you've got a problem with dogs.
Yeah, I like.
There is a
dogs.
lot of dogs that I've seen walking down my street that I just don't like the look of.
Okay,
So, and they should be ripped apart by dinosaurs, as far as I'm concerned.
fair enough. As long as we can rip cats apart as well.
It's your dinosaur. You do what you want with it. If you want to paint it, that's fine, King. I'm going to
gonna
paint
paint
mine.
it.
I'm going to paint mine yellow so it stands
Why
out.
did you paint it?
So it stands out. Give it like a police
Stands
car
out.
colour scheme.
So that it stands out from what? All the other dinosaurs?
Well,
At
from
most,
your
there
two
will be
dinosaurs.
3.
Yeah. I want mine to be the best. I might put a spoiler on it.
So you're going for a Velociraptor as well, King?
For the convenience of it looking amazing when we all turn up on the same dinosaurs. I mean,
Oh,
amazing
yeah,
in
look
our
at that.
minds. Obviously, people look at us and think, "Oh, look, they all got the same one."
King, let's go to Ben's house with our dinosaurs and rip his fucking tree apart. Rip his tree apart. Rip all the branches off, shit all over it. Rip Ben's head off as well. We could just rip everything apart at Ben's place and his stupid tree, and then we can go back to causing chaos in the
Your Velociraptor will
public
be so
domain.
distracted by the delicious fruit I'm throwing at him.
Ben doesn't know how dinosaurs work, does he?
So I think you're thinking a bit too narrow with your dinosaur choice.
No, you're right, because I don't think a Velociraptor could carry me.
I was thinking pterodactyl.
John doesn't like flying.
Don't you, Johnny? But you could be like Gandalf when he flies on the eagles. Imagine that.
Yeah, but what can a pterodactyl do to people?
Pick them up and drop them from a great height.
Yeah, but if I'm on it,
Or drop things on people from a great height. Two ways. You could do poo on people from height.
yeah, but I don't want to have to feed the pterodactyl laxatives or anything.
So, should we all get different dinosaurs then, so that we can make a full-on assault on society?
I like that we're discussing this like it's a thing. Oh yeah, we'll just
So
grab something we can.
Ben's going to cover the aerial route.
Yeah.
John, you'll be on the speedy Velociraptor. I mean,
I want to get covered in blood.
Close
I want to
combat.
get covered in blood. I'm going to hold a sword as well. I just want to get in and butcher things.
This is like when we agreed to go back in time.
Everything just turns into a brutal murder with you, John.
Exactly. There's just no need for it.
I just want to chop people up and rip people's dogs apart with my Velociraptor. What's wrong with that?
Just remember that the Velociraptor will be incredibly small.
It's fine. I got a sword.
Yeah, but we're talking like, sort of chicken size.
No, they're not chicken size.
Yes, they were.
No, they're not chicken size, King.
Yes, they were.
Velociraptors were not chicken size.
All right, maybe a turkey. Fine.
Oh,
Turkey
you're
size.
ridiculous, King. They were at least human size.
No, they weren't, John.
You've just been watching films again, haven't you?
There is no fossil record of Velociraptors being that big.
In that case, I'll have a Deinonychus.
Yeah, Deinonychus. There we go. What a treat. That was going to be my alternative suggestion to you, but cool. So you're going to have
73 to 100 kilos, King. That's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
big bastard. So then I'll have a Pachycephalosaurus, and then Ben's going to be on his pterodactyl flying around.
Yeah. Throwing sort of nasty fruit at you. Rotten tomatoes.
Yeah, Ben will be up there throwing rotten fruit at people, going, "I could have had fresh fruit, but
See
I had
what
to
you
have
could
this
have won."
dinosaur instead." Bastards! Oh dear. I think we're agreed then. We're going to have dinosaurs.
We're gonna ruin society.
Brilliant.
Don't forget to fax us any other questions.
Ben, I want to talk about a rather big car. Not just big, expensive.
Right. Which is?
The V10 Carlman King, which is the most expensive SUV in the entire world. Now, just because it's got my name in it, doesn't mean that I've had anything to do with it, just to be quite clear right now.
Right. So what are we looking at then? What is this beast?
If you have a quick look at that.
That is quite something.
It is tank-esque, if I can use that as a word.
It's angular.
Angular.
Is it stealth? Because it looks like some sort of stealth fighter jet.
Well, I believe they do use the term stealth to describe it.
Right.
Now, what I would use to describe it is 16-bit.
Yeah.
No, that may be unfair. Maybe 32-bit, thinking back.
So, how much did we say this cost?
£1.56 million.
That's obscene. So it says here it's 6 metres long. Doesn't look that big actually, but it's obviously, perspective and all that. Weighs 4.5 tonnes and can be spec'd with 1.5 tonnes of bulletproofing. Who's that for? What? I don't understand.
Well, I presume it's for people who think that the Evoke maybe isn't quite for them. Maybe they want something a little more militaristic. Or maybe not. It's got a massive 6.8 litre V10 Ford engine in it.
Oh, so I'm just reading here. It's got 395 brake horsepower, but it'll top out at 87 mile an hour.
Yes.
I suppose that's its sheer weight. Looking at the interior is absolutely ridiculous.
Now, the interior is good because they're basically taking the Rolls-Royce approach that you can just have bespoke everything.
It kind of looks like a sort of a spaceship that's designed. It's one of these sort of TV programs that's based in sort of like 2087, and someone's flying around between planets, dicking about. I don't know. It's just got that purple and yellow lighting and ridiculous setup of seats. I don't understand.
So you would sum this up as being for someone who just likes dicking about in space.
Yeah, basically. I'm not even sure. So this is completely bespoke, this car. It's not built on... it's not like a Range Rover that's been adapted. Because of the size and everything, it just can't be, can it? That's not based on a typical car. Is that right?
I believe it's based on the big Ford pickup. The F550, is it?
Okay.
So that's where the chassis comes from.
Right, okay.
With its 6 metre longness.
Yeah, so it's although it's big, it's not actually obscenely big.
Yeah.
I mean,
which I think is why they also use the same engine from that pickup.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's mad. But then again, you're thinking that's quite a lot of extra cash for going from an F50 with the same engine and chassis to 1.4 million or whatever you said, 1.5 million, just for a little bit of lighting and luxury materials inside. But then I guess you don't really care if you're looking to spend that amount of money.
If you've got that much money lying around and you want to trundle around in something that is made entirely of polygons whilst looking like some kind of bad guy from, well, I was going to say Fast and the Furious, but this seems a bit beyond even them, really.
Yeah.
This is very much 1980s TV villain from space who's trying to blend in on Earth but still retain their own special style.
But anyway, we felt bad having Johnny not on the episode, so we sent him the link to this, and he has sent us his own little review of this car. Can you cue it up?
Hello listeners, Smooth Traffic's Johnny Edge here on the scene, reporting live from my phone. And, we're having a look at the V10 Carlman King, £1.5 million worth of tumour, and possibly the ugliest SUV ever made. If that's what money can get you, I'd rather be poor. Awful. Back to you in the studio.
So there you go, the views of John Edge on the Carlman King. Well, I guess it's just lucky that he's not rich, really, isn't it?
One of the joys of being in a WhatsApp group with Rob and Johnny, I say joys, one of the frustrating things is that
all right,
they do continue to bang on about Gran Turismo Sport. Is it Gran Turismo Sport? Whatever racing game is you guys are playing. And it's just constant moaning. I don't know why you guys still play it. You're just constantly on there going, oh, bloody hell, that ranking system's rubbish, or what, someone drove me off, and then you end up uploading videos and I just don't bother watching them. But
shocking.
Why is it you still play it if it winds you up that much? Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been winding me up recently, Ben.
No. Is that because you've actually been doing well?
Yes, recently I've had some really nice clean races. It's not the ranking system as you called it, which would be the driver rating. It's the sportsmanship rating system, which has caused us undue levels of stress, frankly. But no, in recent weeks I've enjoyed some nice clean races. my sportsmanship rating is soaring up again, and I've also won a couple of races as well.
Okay.
So I've now won 5 races on Gran Turismo in my 100 and something attempts.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound very positive.
Well, no, you stop and think about that, Ben. If you were a professional motor racing driver,
Yeah.
you think how many races you enter compared to how many you win. Yeah, exactly. There's some food for thought.
Yeah.
Your stunned silence says everything.
I'm just thinking, how many professional racing drivers could I name? Probably only ones that have won a lot.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to use examples, and then I thought you wouldn't know. I could make them up, couldn't I?
Harold Fliebsengarber. Oh, yes.
There is, of course, the great... what have I got round here? There's Max Cold Relief, who was a great racer from the 1980s. Never won a race, but was an excellent support driver.
I was going to say, I thought
always gave his teammate the help that he needed.
Yeah, never got congested in the grid. Yeah.
Yep. Oh dear.
Cut that.
No, it's. I mean, it's a lot better now. They've had a couple of updates over the last sort of month or so, which have tweaked the way that the sportsmanship rating works slightly. So penalties are a lot more difficult to get rid of, if that makes sense. Because basically, if you pick up a penalty, you can slow your car down in order to then wipe off that time. If you don't wipe that time off at the end of the race, it's added onto your race time, obviously. So you'll lose a few positions more likely than not. And before, it was a lot more easy to slow the car only slightly in order to burn off the penalty. Whereas now you've for the most part, you'd physically have to take a huge chunk of your sort of speed off in order to start knocking off penalty time.
Right, so you can't just slow a tiny bit on a corner, brake early, that sort of stuff anymore.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Although that will still probably take a little bit off, it won't take off as much. Or that's what I found anyway.
Okay.
And certainly with penalties generally, if you don't make an attempt to clear them, they will then tally up and it'll just keep adding time on again. Because obviously you're not making an effort to clear the penalty, to the point where you could then be disqualified from the race. So.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm actually interested in Johnny's view on this one a little bit. So we're going to try and patch Johnny in again, sending us voice messages. So Johnny, what are your thoughts on this?
Hi listeners, Johnny Edge here, Smooth Traffic's reporter on the scene, doing what I hope is the first of many cheese reports. I'm now up in Yorkshire, and for the first time I have tried a type of cheese called cathedral cheddar, which I believe is cheddar grown
How has he heard
in a cathedral.
cheddar?
Fantastic concept, very, very tasty.
Why is he talking about cheese?
And I found it's particularly good in ham with white bread. So basically, a ham and cheese sandwich. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, if you're
Perhaps he got
around
this from GT Sport.
in a shop and
Maybe
you
he thought
see
it said
some of this
cheesy
cheddar
sport.
grown inside a cathedral, definitely try and pick up a packet because it is quite good cheddar.
Cathedral cheddar? Does he mean Cathedral City, as in the brand? He's never had the brand Cathedral City cheese before.
He must have done. What a pleb. It must be that prostate exam going. It must have put him off. He doesn't know what's happening.
The colonoscopy.
That was the one. I'm sure he had both.
Yeah, he probably
Why
had
not?
both. You know what this is, don't you? All we've done, we've said, give us a quick voice clip there, John. We're talking about Gran Turismo Sport. And he's decided, because what the listeners don't know is that he spent weeks banging on about wanting to do bloody cheese reports.
Another one of the joys of having Johnny in a WhatsApp group.
We had Johnny on art last episode, and he wanted to expand his cultural persona, and he wanted to do cheese reports.
I think he's just proved that that's not good enough quality.
Well, there's that. But all he's done is he's thought, this is my chance to speak, knowing that we'd be listening to it while he's recorded it, or while we're recording. And now we've got to leave it in.
That's it. No more reports from Johnny. Well, at least we know roughly where he is now.
Yorkshire. Which is a long way from Cornwall.
It is. He must be loving it.
Well, apparently he's found a new type of cheese.
There must be a more local cheese than cheddar.
It's the fact that it's clearly Cathedral City cheddar. He's found himself a brand of cheese. There's no way that he's never had that before. I mean, surely, most importantly, there's Wensleydale. Is that not the Yorkshire cheese? And yet he's decided to get a branded cheddar from his local supermarket.
Johnny, you're a disgrace.
You're an embarrassment, John. And guess what? There'll be no more fucking cheese reports. Oh, you've made me swear now.
Oh dear.
What a...
Well, thank goodness that's over. That seemed to drag that episode, don't you think, Rob?
No? I thought it was brilliant.
It was brilliant. I love talking to you and just you. It's a real treat.
All right. Jesus.
Oh, Johnny's not here. I've got to be offensive if he's not here being offensive to both of us. So thank you for listening. We will no doubt have more stuff about the UNOS Roadster over the next few weeks, so hopefully that'll be entertaining and good news. We always get something in on the facts, so that'll be exciting. Dictionary Corner will be back next week, almost certainly. And thank you very much for listening. Please do leave us a rating and subscribe and all that sort of stuff if you don't mind. We still have a bit on YouTube if you want to take a look at that. And thanks again. Rob, anything to add?
I just hope that John's colonoscopy goes well, because he sounded a little uncomfortable in those clips of him that we had. So I can only presume that they were mid-procedure.
Oh,
which is worrying that he's thinking about cheese at that point.
Not even sure what that means, but
thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.